workouts been, Rhett?
It's been good. Guys have been really focused. First SEC opponent, and I know, of course, we're going to play in a very hostile environment. It's been locked in, and we've had 2 really good days.
Rhett, when you play a team like last week that's got guys there that
Yep.
you've worked with before, do you talk, and it's not somebody you play regularly, do you talk to them after the game and say, hey, what did you see?
Yeah, you talk with guys in the coaching community all the time before and after, and we've all got a bunch of guys and friends at different places. I know you're talking about there's some guys there that have worked here with us before or other places, and so yeah, you're always talking. You don't usually talk much before the game and game week, but afterwards you try to communicate and see if you can help each other out, especially when you know you're not going to be playing each other again.
Rhett, you got 4 plays over 20 yards so far this year. Just how do you kind of get big plays going? Is it just keeping drives going? Is it not turning it over? Is it all the above?
That's been our issue these first 2 games. We haven't had a lot of explosive plays. As a matter of fact, we may have had fewer in these first 2 games total than we have in a 2-game span since we've been back. We've had a game here or there in the past that we haven't done great, but we usually don't have back-to-back games. A lot of credit goes to the defenses we're playing. They are scheming to try to take those away, and then a lot of it goes to us not making those plays. So that's definitely something we've talked about hard with the guys this week, generating those plays, giving them opportunities to make those plays, and because that's a big part, of our offense. When we're doing well with that, we're scoring a lot of points. You get frustrated thinking, well, third downs, we're 50% on third downs. No, we could have done better, and we need to do better. And we're going to be playing the best opponent we've played by far, but explosive plays got to be a big part of what we do if we're going to win.
What needs to go better to have those explosive plays happen more often?
Well, it could be a part of execution. Sometimes it's how guys play you. Like Saturday, they weren't going to let anything behind them, and they were going to try to, make you earn things and rally and tackle. They did a good job of that. The other part is just, we got to be balanced, and when we're balanced, you can take advantage of explosive plays, not just in the passing game, but in the running game.
Rhett, how tough is it to prepare for a week like this when, 1, you only have 1 game of film to go off of, but 2, prior to this year, it's been 3 years since Steele even been a coordinator?
Yeah, he's a great coach. We're very familiar with him. We played him before. He's been at a school that we've been playing the last couple of years. So while maybe he hadn't been calling it, there's a lot of familiarity. It's tough. We only got 1 game to go on, but it was a good opponent, a conference opponent. They had a big win on the road. They've only got 2 games to go on off us. So I don't think that's a huge deal. Any more than it is for them. Obviously, Coach Steele's been not calling it for a few years. There's probably going to be some things that he's going to do that we hadn't seen, but we may do the same. That's just kind of how it goes. You got to adjust.
Everybody's kind of talking about Jeremy, but talk about the struggle in the running game with consistency and how that impacts what you guys want to do as far as play action game.
Yeah, well, that goes back to the balance. That's what we do. We got to be able to run the football, especially in the first half, better. When the game's been on the line, we ran the ball well. Middle of the third quarter through the fourth quarter, and I think that's a little bit of we wear some guys down sometimes. But at the same time, we've got to run the ball more effectively all around, everybody. And Peyton's been big in the second half of the last few games, but we've got to get more guys going, and that'll help everything. That'll help Jeremy in the passing game and all that. So it just all goes hand in hand.
Rick, Gus has been real big this week on, put it on me. I've got to help Jeremy out a lot more, and I know that. What does that translated mean? What does that actually mean when Gus says that?
Well, I think it means that, 1, we really believe in Jeremy. He's going to be a great player. And he did he did a lot of things really well last game. Some of the throws that the average person looks at, he was throwing the ball away, because they were doubling somebody or they were doing this or they gave us a different look and there was nothing there. He threw it away. And sometimes that's a great play. And of course, then when the game mattered, the biggest thing I was wanting to see going into the season is what's he going to do when the game's on the line. Well, when the game's on the line, the pressure was on, he let us down and he made a big-time third down throw for a touchdown. That's not easy to do, And so, but I think all he means is, I got to do a better job coaching him. I got to do a better job putting him in positive situations to be successful. The guys around him got to do a better job. It's very simple. A lot of times the focus goes on one guy, good or bad, and usually it's somewhere in between. It's not all their fault, and it's not giving them all the praise. Usually it's somewhere in between. We just got to play better as a group.
How would you grade the effort of your receivers so far playing through the end of every play?
Well, that's something we've talked about. We've got to do a better job of playing more guys and managing those guys to where one guy's not playing 70 plays. And then you get to the fourth quarter at the end of the game and And, to your question about effort, it may be we need to keep them fresh throughout the whole game. And we got some other guys that we believe in, and we got to do a better job managing that in the game.
Is it disappointing at this point you haven't been able to get Jerron Robinson more involved when he came in with such high expectations? Obviously brings a different skill set to what you could maybe have right now.
I don't know if it's disappointing because we don't set all those expectations. Other people do. But, he's having a good week of practice right now, and I think that's a positive sign.
What, you heard a lot about Jason Smith all during camp, and hasn't gotten the ball much.
Right.
Is that something that's by what people are doing to you, or is that something you can change?
A little of both. There's been just kind of the way the games have gone. Of course, he made the big catch in the first game that got called back. But yeah, getting him involved is definitely on our minds more. And that kind of goes back to his point about getting more guys involved so we can have everybody fresh when the game's on the line when it matters.
How has Avery Young been this week so far?
Really good. He's practiced well and really good.
You expect him to play?
I do. Everybody's day-to-day, like Coach said the other day, but he's practiced both days and done well.
Having Avery back out there, we kind of have some continuity back on the line. How important is that to kind of get that group back together?
It's always good. Continuity is always good. You play one game and then you're already moving guys around. That's never ideal, but it's also part of football, and it's going to happen in our league. It's going to happen to just about everybody. We might have got spoiled a little bit that first year when it didn't happen. So I thought the guys did a good job of stepping up in spots they hadn't really been repping that much, and did some good things up front.
Were the interceptions this week, were they different than last week?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I feel like he had one poor decision, and sometimes, and it cost him. And sometimes, quarterback's going to make usually a couple of poor decisions a game. A lot of times you get away with it. Right now he's not getting away with it. And it's just all about, that goes back to your point about putting him in a good position. I put him in a bad position there. And then when I put him in a bad position, he just got to, take the easy way out and not try to make something out of a bad situation and move on. Because that's going to happen in every game. And I was proud of the way he bounced back. And really, overall, he threw the ball nicely.
Was the bad decision the first one?
Yes.
Do you believe you identify what the identity is of this offense, or is it one of those situations like 2 years ago, like or not, that it might take a couple more weeks?
I think we have a better idea right now. And so how long it takes for that to take hold, you never know. Our guys have had a great week of practice, but I think as coaches, we got a lot of good information on those first two games. 2 different scenarios, 2 different endings. We learned a lot about every guy on our team. And so we know, I think, what positions to put them in, what to do with them, what we're good at, what we need to work at more. And so, we feel like we've got a really good plan to move forward. And so hopefully starts this week.
Rhett, we heard a lot in the offseason about how you guys feel like, Sean Coleman's kind of about to take that next step. I mean, how do you think he's done through 2 games?
I think he's doing well. I think he's playing really well. I mean, he's leading our team in games.
Nate Marshall in the last couple of years was really good at deception, and sometimes it's hard to even figure where the ball was for a
Right.
second or two. Have you guys looked at Jeremy in that area and how he's doing?
Yeah, we've looked at everything that we've been doing and maybe some things we haven't been doing. And, it's like everything else. As coaches, we always see the negatives more than anybody, I promise you. And so we're always focusing on how can we get better in this area, how can we get better in this area. And it's a constant process that we're definitely working on.
When you have a player like Duke that's kind of going back to his home state and close to his hometown and playing, do you have to have a conversation with him about that it's just another game, or do you feel like it'll just go in one ear and out the other and it's just a waste of time?
You hear that every time, you always get that question. And I haven't said a word to him this week. I'm not aware that Damian has. He's practicing well. He looks like he's focused like the rest of the guys. And, it's his home state, so it means something to him. But at the end of the day, we're playing ball.
Is this something you guys want to get more involved with in the offense?
Yeah, we want to get everybody more involved, and that has to do with a lot of things. It has to do with the entire offense. When the entire system is successful, everybody's going to be successful. We targeted him plenty of times last game. Sometimes it's a matter of catching the ball, sometimes it's a matter of making the right throw, and sometimes they take it away. But obviously we need to get a lot of guys involved and get them going. And if you're running your system right, it may be a different guy every game. I mean, there's a reason Ricardo had 10 catches. And he only had 2 kind of because of the way they were playing us a little bit. But, as coaches, we can do some things to try to work that out too.
Do you think Peyton Barber could be a 12, 13, 14 game starter for you this season?
Well, I know this. In the 2 games we played, Peyton Barber's shown great toughness. He's shown he wants to win. and he's shown we can trust him. And when the game's been on the line, he's been at his best. So right now, I've got a lot of confidence in Peyton, and I don't doubt anything right now with him.
Rhett, these past 2 weeks, I mean, Ricardo's had 2 back-to-back good games, but, you know, when I've asked him, he doesn't feel like he's come close to having his best game yet. How much better do you guys think he can get?
We think we can all get better, and I'm glad he's saying that. That means he's continually working. He's done some things well. Last week I thought he played solidly. Again, we got to keep guys fresh towards the end of the game. First week he made some big plays for us. He's like everybody else. You know, we want to play at a better level. We want to execute at a better level. We want to have more of those explosive plays. So that's probably what he's talking
But
about.
the way Peyton's playing, does that get Javon and Rock's attention when they still believe that they've got a shot to crack the rotation a little bit more?
I don't think there's any doubt. All 4 of them know they're in the rotation. They'll have a chance to help us.
Brett, I don't think we've asked you about LSU yet at all.
Yeah.
What impresses you about what you saw in just at least the one game on film?
Well, they're typical LSU. They can really run. Very, very well coached. Coach Steele is very sound, very solid in what he does. He lets his guys play fast, which I think is always a good characteristic of a good coach. They've got some really good skilled guys on the back ends. I mean, their corners are very talented, got great size. And the White kid's probably one of the best corners in our league. They got the best freshman corner in our league, arguably. And he's playing well. Their safeties can really, really run and cover ground, and they're physical. Their linebackers, you know, I don't know. We haven't played everybody yet, but they arguably could be the best linebacking corps in the league. The Beckwith kid's phenomenal. And then up front, they got 2 big guys up front, and they've got some long ends that can rush the passers. So it seems like an LSU defense to me, and we know it's a great challenge. I mean, they're really good, and they held a really good team with a really good quarterback, you know, under 20 points at their place. So we're going to have to play really well.
And how do you avoid a dip in confidence after a situation like last Saturday?
Well, I think you build on the things that are positive and that are reality, okay? And you focus on what we can control in here. We're 2-0. There's not one goal that we can't reach, and you just take it one day at a time. And you focus on the things that really happen. In other words, the first game, you know, we had a chance to finish better than we did, but we found a way to win when things got tight. In the second game, when there was as much pressure on all our guys and everyone as there could be, our sidelines was upbeat and positive. You didn't have a lot of guys pointing fingers at each other. You didn't have guys getting in arguments. You didn't have guys quitting and getting down. They kept fighting. Offense, defense, special teams. And everybody at some point in those phases made a play late in the game to help us win. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. We found a way to win the game. Now, there's a lot of things to fix, but we found a way to win the game in a tough pressure situation. So what we learned about our team is they're not going to quit. They're not going to, you know, they know how to fight. They're tight. They're together. And we know how they're going to respond in those scenarios, because we're going to have one just about every week in our league usually. And you know, that's something you can build on. And so that's one thing we really tried to focus on.
Rhett, I know this is kind of
Last
a long-term question, but how much is this injury with Tyler, is that maybe going to hinder his development, at least in the short term?
Well, I mean, anytime a guy misses the whole fall, it hurts. But, you know, he had a good spring. And we didn't have it fixed in high school, played his senior year. That was kind of the best course of action then. We have the best team doctor in the country. He came here, had a good spring, and then some things weren't right. And going to be on scout team, most likely redshirt this year. It just made sense to go ahead and fix it so he can be full speed in the spring moving forward.
So really, it's a good thing he was here in the spring. So if this was Tyler last year, it'd be if this was Sean last year, it'd be different.
He would be further behind, yeah. So Tyler already has the mental, you know, foundation of what we're doing. So it's not going to be foreign to him. And we just felt like, look, right now he's not someone that we're counting on this season, but he's someone we think can help us in the future. Let's get him healthy so when we get to the spring and next summer he can be competing to help us.
Good.